Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. This is December 17th, and that is another day for me to make another plea to you, the American people, and to the people of the world, if you can hear my voice. I am here to remind you that the pain and the suffering that you endure is because you are living in a world that is designed to do exactly what it's doing. Obviously, you know that. But I want to remind you also that there's another world, another plane, another reflection of association regarding your conduct in relationship to basic principles that produce what you ask when you pray, is that it exists as well. I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that having lived out here for 40 years now in this particular wilderness, I ask myself oftentimes, why is it that I accept this call? And the thing that I come up with is that I guess the Almighty power saw in me a time where being accepted by my peers was so important that I was willing to put my life on the line just to prove that I was worthy. Put it on the line, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, put it on the line until whatever I challenged myself, it would happen or I would die. So if it happened and I wasn't able myself to do it, it happened because of a miracle, which has the same message to me. So I challenged myself without fear, without doubt. But in the midst of it, something happened that was not in my plan. My plan was to cross over. Something caught me before I got halfway, and I found myself racing back, and got back, and yet was able to witness the danger that was right there at my toenails. Now, the power that is all powerful recognized that perhaps in time I would have to deal with this reality, and that I might come up a little bit short in my evaluation of what actually took place. And so something else happened in my life to eliminate the possibilities of any doubt ever coming. And so when I look back at that, I see myself as a wild youth who had no respect for life, but respect for what you wanted to be. And I knew I wanted to be. And yet, having gone through this experience, I can only say that I'm here because of a miracle. And that miracle must say, if I could put my life on the line for my peers to be accepted by my peers, how much better would it be for me to put my life on the line for humankind, my brothers and my sisters, all creations of the love of God, to tell you here in America that in our lifetime, now there have been more presidents just as bad as Donald Trump, but in our lifetime, none has been as bad and as evil projecting as Donald Trump. But through that action itself was able to draw out from amongst those of us who had been projecting themselves as being lovers, who had under the law hid under the bed, pretending that the hate and the racism and the bigotry that was embedded in them so deep was gone. But with the advent of this one, made it permissible to come from under the beds, to shout out, yes, I'm a racist, to shout out, yes, I'm a bigot, to shout out, yes, I'm a murderer, to shout out, yes, I'm a lover of God, and I do all these things for God. And yet, the Jesus that we tried to replace and trick ourselves as being so wonderful in our lives now is put on the cross by us as individuals, while we lift up a man who represents what we represent, hate. Well, this is something that we have to recognize that truly happens, ladies and gentlemen. It does happen, and you know that it's not of God. And so you got your preachers who were supposedly telling you about God fail the course. You take the scriptures and you can say that this is a message from God, and I'm sure it is. And because man touched it, I'm sure they tried to work with it in such a way that it would promote their system. But a person led by the Spirit of love can cipher what is proper and what is not. And so if the Bible is used as a history to give you some information, even though some of it might be misleading, about perhaps a time for which we really have no knowledge of except by this form, which we trust or do not, because it could be true or not. And it shows us something about what happened in the beginning, and that if it happened then, it'll happen now. How it was dealt with then and how it could be dealt with now. But overall, everything that is being taught is to teach each of us about life, so we can know the difference between life and death. So we can choose to live by honoring the principles of that which is life, that which is love, which comes from a power that created us, and not from a misguided power. Let me just give an example. Misguided power. America was going on let's say a level of kind of smooth. Crooked as it is, it was kind of smooth. And then a big liar, a big evil voice comes on the scene. And it messes up everything. Down and up, down and up. I mean, everything. And you run back. Those of you who will admit evil, those of you which can recognize a lie, you sit back and you say, wow. And there are those who just see that lie and says, hallelujah, freedom at last. But where would that get you? Right where we are. And so you say you're not that evil. Trump was too evil for you. He brought out the ugliness in the people. Well, where do those people go now? They have stood before America and says, we are evil. We are against the Constitution. We're against a certain population. We don't care about God. We will use God to get what we want, and then we'll hang on the cross, and we will kill you. We'll go up in your churches and burn you out of your churches. What are they saying? They're saying help. We need help. They don't know that's what they're saying, but that's what they're saying. Help. We need help. And the rest of us, who might call yourselves Democrats or Republicans that have not turned to Trump so far, you are standing back not knowing what to do. You say you want to adhere to the basic principles. You're waiting for this evil one to get off the scene, as if you had no ability to just get him out of the way, giving him another 30 days to cause more pain and suffering. But be that as it may, you're trying to say we're not that evil, so we want to make an adjustment. But the message that I bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that this adjustment that you are getting ready to settle for, putting women in positions of power, giving it through various nationalities and races, if you want to call it that, getting everybody engaged in that, that's nothing but another part of the trick, ladies and gentlemen. That's nothing but another part of the trick. You're saying, well, now we got all these people in, we got all these different voices in. Yes, we got all these different voices in, but if they're being led by an instrument that takes them right on down this continued path, that doesn't matter by the voices being represented by gender change. No, it still represents a system that has brought us to this point. So we must recognize that a system needs to be changed, and that system is not going to be changed from the top down. That system is going to be changed from the bottom up. And so those of you who are suffering the most, you're supposed to be protected by men of God, men who tell you about the word of in the history of God. They're supposed to be protecting you. They know that the God of love says that there's no one human being on the face of this earth, especially in America right now, should be without food, clothing, shelter. It is the duty and responsibility to remind you that the power that created you designed it so that these things would be available to you as you need, want, or desire them. And there's no power on the face of the earth that should be able to stop this from happening. That is the message that I bring. That is the message that I'm sure that everybody who's led by the Spirit of love brings. To say that education should not be restricted. Money in the way? No, my friends, never, ever. Debt? No, never, ever. Education makes you better at whatever it is you come into the world to be and to do and to give and to serve. And so that is a gift from the Almighty love for you, for us all. And health care from the womb to the tomb, making sure that any sickness, any disease that comes upon this scene, that the power of the love that comes from the power in us enables us to discover what is necessary to defeat these sicknesses and these diseases, to keep us healthy, and to protect all of these needs and wants and desires. Each of us who benefit from it engage ourselves because we were designed in such a way that we can engage ourselves in whatever it is that we've been given to do. Whatever walk of life that you've been given to have your greatest joy, it is required in this, my friends, in this walk of life, that you exercise it, give it all you got, and all of us, given what we've been given to do. When we do this, what comes back is an overflow of all those things that we not only need for survival, but what we can imagine for the benefit of us all. Because it is an expression of our understanding of truth, that love that comes from the power that we can't see, living in us and being expressed toward us all. Now we are living as though we are in heaven without a lie. A person like Donald Trump wouldn't even think about it here. And the people who will follow Donald Trump, they won't even be here. Why? Because if they were here, they would have been changed by the power of love. And those who are led by the Spirit of love, who will call themselves mouths of God, this is what they're telling you. They're talking about changing the society that we live in. Not trying to see if we can be ranked among the best of them because we are just as rich as they are. We got the same kind of amount of property that they have. We fly in jets just like they do. We got big institutions. We're selling books and tapes and all of these things, and we're mega now. No, my friends, that has nothing to do with freedom. That has nothing to do with love and liberation that comes from the almighty love of God. This is why I'm here to tell you this. And yet, I can tell you that my work is not done. Why? Because I'm still here. Why? Because all of the pain and suffering that I'm telling you that God wants eliminated by your power is still existing. And I'm still walking around here running my mouth, which means I have had no effect. If I had any effect, these problems of society would be changing or have changed, or I would be killed. But I'm not killed. Nobody's killing me. Nobody's paying attention to what I'm saying. And yet it is the most powerful voice on the face of the earth. And it's not just coming from me. It's coming from everybody that's led by the Spirit of love. Everybody that's led by the Spirit of love is telling you this. And it's not my words. It's the Spirit of love being guided by and through. So I rest my case, ladies and gentlemen. Look, what the Democrats are going to try to do, it's nothing but a continuation of the same thing you've been experiencing all of your life. And the Republicans have just proven that they got no solution. So where is it going to come from? It's going to come from outside of the box. And it's not going to come from religion. It's going to come from truth. It's going to come from love. And what is love? Love means all. That's what it means. Just like your body. Somebody cut your finger off, your body suffers. You can put up with it, but you suffer. Somebody cut your leg off, you can survive, but you suffer. So why not keep your finger? Why not keep your leg and walk without that suffering? Designed by you to make sure that the best you can do, you're going to have your finger, you're going to have your leg, and you're going to walk strong like a person dedicated to be who you were made to be. And the world is going to be grateful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this your time. Until next, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.